Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. All right, first and foremost, call halal, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Kakadash, and of course, honors go out to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. All right, who continue to teach us this truth through the Holy Spirit. And this is Naaman with the DC camp. And this story here, I can't imagine who doesn't know amongst Israel by now. It's coming up here on the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa, Oklahoma race riots. And this young lady here, who had 107 as the last survivor, or the oldest, wow, is testifying on the Hill as of yesterday. Today is 27, yes. All right, so it says, this is from MSN.com, and it says what America owes the survivors and descendants of the Tulsa Race Massacre. And make no mistake about it, it was a massacre. All right. It says 18 years ago, my Stanford classmate and an eventual Harvard law professor, Charles Ogletree, called me from a toilet stall in Tulsa. He was hiding out there because someone had just asked him about the Tulsa race riot, and he'd never heard of it. Had I? He whispered. And this is her right here being fitted with headphones and a mic. And he said I hadn't, and so began our quest to learn about and then seek recognition for a massacre that few knew about. I wonder why. This is not an accident. For those of you that think, oh, it was just oversight, no. See, this is more shameful spewing. All right, on you Edomites. All right. This is Habakkuk, chapter 2. And it's verse 16 in particular. Let's start out for the people that we're dealing with, the nation of Edom, descendants of Jacob's brother Esau. All right. The wicked that the Bible talks about. You can read that in Malachi, the first chapter, verses 1 through 4, and various others. They are, Obadiah, all right, and his eventual demise. They, I should say. All right. This is Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 4. It says, behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him. Because, again, they are the wicked. Psalms 58, all right, verse 3 in particular, but you can start at the top. All right. Let me rephrase that. There are no redeemable qualities when it comes to these so-called white people, the nation of Edom. None. If after seeing this or any other brother's videos here, you have to ask that question, something's wrong with you. Look at their track record. They are so willing to bring this up when it pertains to Jake and their courts as evidence against something that you have done, but why don't you do that with them? Why? Because of that weaponized plantation Christianity that he's given you. You need to forgive. He doesn't forgive you. And never will, because he hates you. Let me rephrase that. He hates us. Continuing on in Habakkuk, verse 5. Yea, also because he transgresses by wine. That's not talking about your drinking wine. No, it's talking about doctrine and philosophy. Think democracy. How he's gotten in the minds of people around the world pushing that crap. All right, and with that goes all kinds of demonic behavior that's being pushed around the world, and people are sick of it. You know, this homosexuality, this LGBTQ, and whatever else is coming down the pipe. And then you begin to understand what this devil means when he says, when he always champions freedom, especially for himself. All right, because when you look at the history of these people, it is rife with all kinds of lewd and uh, uh, pagan behaviors. I mean, just rife with it. And that's what he's trying. He's trying to build a world where pedophiles, homosexuals, murderers, thieves. So you got to wonder to yourself. It's a whole nother video. In fact, I'm not going to go into it, but this is why he's trying to license, I guess that's the way to say it, his democracy. This is what the world he's trying to create. I'll put it that way. All right. It says, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death that cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Another trademark, another characteristic of these Edomites. Look back at the Greeks. All right, all nations were under their control. The Romans. Anywhere he's been, this has been a trade. He exploits these people for his own ends. All right, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? Again, going back, how do you identify this person? Look at his track record. Rape, robbery, murder, and any other kind of vile acts to get what he wants. Yet he wants you to forgive. See, what you're going to find out, and I've said this before, we know the things that he has done in order to acquire the things that he has. You got to ask yourself, why is Daniel 12:1 there? Because what is he going to do to try to keep it? And that's when he's going to be the most dangerous. It says that to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, this debt system, that's what it's talking about. That Hebrew word, ibaka. That's debt. This is a debt-based society. 7. Shall they not rise up suddenly again, that shall bite thee and awake, and shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? That's what we are. All right? We are still under subjection to this devil. All right? Now I'm going to skip down. You can read the rest, but I'm going to skip down to the point, and that's 16. It says, thou art filled with shame for glory. Because with the technology as it is now, all this information, all the things this piece of shit has done, especially to our people, is coming more and more to the forefront. All right? And again, this is not making him look good. All right? Because these are things he thought were hidden. All right? And would never resurface. It says, thou art filled with shameful glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Most High Yahweh's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. Because it wasn't that long ago where the so-called white man, the nation of Edom that the Bible speaks of, the wicked, could do no wrong, no matter where he went. He was a demigod. But now, not in small part, because what we're doing out here on the highways and byways, out here on the corners, telling you these things, all right, and telling you to get out of these damn churches, because those were set up to keep you in this pacified state, to keep you off track from realizing who you really are. All right? all these things are coming and they're pointing to who? Ta-da! These so-called white people and pieces of shit they are. But back to the article in question. It says, I hadn't heard. He says, and so began our quest to learn about and then seek recognition for a massacre that few knew about. A century ago, between May 30th and June 1st, 1921, white mobs cooperating with local police and the National Guard, which they, again, why you don't think Jake trusts the local authority, police. You got to understand the police came about from the slave patrols. All right. It says stormed the most prosperous black neighborhood in the country, known as America's Black Wall Street. They killed at least 300 people, destroyed 35 city blocks, and burned homes, churches, and a hospital to the ground. They even used airplanes to drop nitroglycerin bombs on Tulsa's black. You know how volatile, especially back then, nitroglycerin was? Actually, still is if you use it in that form. That's hate. All because of what? They use the excuse. He raped a white woman. No, and it's going to get to this. The reason. And it's going to come from the mouth of someone you would never expect. It says, the outrage of Tulsa, 99 years to the day. President Biden plans to visit Tulsa next week to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa race riot. Just as a photo op. Motherfuckers don't care. Earlier this month, the 3 known survivors of the massacre, I didn't think they were any left since a woman I did a couple of years ago, and I did more than one video. She was the first so-called African-American woman in the Coast Guard, and she was also a medical doctor. It says, yet almost nothing has been done to redress one of the worst massacres in American history. Indeed, it's still often referred to as a race riot. Oklahomans called it a riot to assure the denial of insurance claims by the victims. See the games that these people play? I was determined to interview the last survivors of what is now known as the Tulsa Race Massacre for a documentary called Before They Die. And that seems, well, it doesn't seem, these Jakes lived a long time. She's 107. All right. They were just waiting for this to, pardon the pun, pass away. All right. And that's it. Forgot. But you see how the Most High, Yahweh Shem Shai works. It says, my subjects were 85 to 102 years old. I wanted them to receive some recognition in their final years by ensuring that their voices and stories be heard for posterity. The film, finished 13 years ago, has been shown 108 times in 33 states and on 3 continents. And this is it. All right, before they die. And I'll give you the link on YouTube. All right. It says there have been several unsuccessful attempts, all right, for official federal or state reparations through victim relief funds. The Oklahoma legislature has refused direct assistance, and the $30 million raised for the 100th anniversary came from corporate sponsors. The federal government has done nothing. And by contrast, this should piss you off. I hope it does. This to show you how much they hate you. This is the unlikely story behind Japanese Americans' campaign for reparations. And this is from March 24th, 2020, a little over a year ago. Code switch, all right, NPR. And I happened to go to school on property that was used for this growing up. All right. And these motherfuckers here, look at this. Initially, I heard they had been paid twice for this, but I could only, for this video, find only this one instance. I apologize, but I'm gonna get straight to the point. Let me find it. I keep losing the place. Here it is. It says the conflict most often occurred between generations. The niece, whatever you call it, generation who were born between 1910 and 1930 to immigrant parents, and the sensei who were either incarcerated at a very young age or born after the war. All right, fuck all that. It says ultimately the JACL, the Japanese American community as a whole, came together over a collective obligation to uphold American ideals, Tissue writes, and finally, in 1988, a decade after the campaign began and over 40 years after the internment camps closed, how long have we been there, people? But they say we gave you welfare. That should be enough. Yeah. And it's more of them. See, there's nothing ever exclusively done for us. That's racism. That's why, as the scriptures say in James 2 and 13, no mercy is going to be shown to these pieces of shit. All right. President Ronald Reagan signed the Civil Liberties Act, which offered a formal apology and paid $20,000 to each survivor. We may at, Clinton apologized, and who else? Hillary Clinton, and who gives a fuck? I don't want your fucking apology. What good is your apology without an attempt to do something about it? But even that, it doesn't make a difference. You've already shown the true colors. You don't intend to restore us, all right? Which lets me know that you motherfuckers know who exactly we are. And you don't intend to restore us, as Isaiah 42 and 22, all right? At the very end, says, none say restore. We're in their jails. That was done on purpose. We're in their prison houses and whatever have you. Psalms 83. All these other nations and the so-called white man is a concerted effort. They're confederate with each other. In keeping us from becoming a nation again. It's right in your face, people. Back to the article. She's 107 years old. Now, for some reason, when I initially went to this site, this was playing. And it showed you she's before a senator or whatever. And, but for some reason now it won't play. But in any case, let's continue. Skipping on down, it says, talking about George Floyd here and all this crap. Breonna Taylor. Talking about him meeting with, or whoever it is, meeting with Ogletree. It says, that's why Charles was asked to help. In 2005, he and other nationally prominent lawyers, because no other lawyers statewide will take their case, sued the city, its police department, and the state on behalf of the survivors and their descendants. But the U.S. Appeals Court for the 10th Circuit dismissed it for exceeding the statute of limitations. And yet, we always got to hear from some damn Holocaust bullshit. That it didn't happen the way they said it did. But they spun it to suit them. Alright? And now everybody gives them money every year for some shit that didn't happen. And for them not being the people that they say they are. You know this is a backward, wicked ass world. That's why it says hasten the day. Alright, this place fucking falls. Alright? And on top of that, the Supreme Court refused to to hear the case. All right. Here's her. This is the one I did the video on. Her name is Dr. or was, she passed away, Dr. Olivia Hooker. Here it is, the first black woman in the U.S. Coast Guard. And there it is. Let's see. And that's going to be it. But I wanted you to hear that, and for some reason it will not play. I do not understand why. Except for, hey, YouTube, what can you say? But these are the things you should be watching. It says watch as well as pray. All right? Otherwise, when things kick off, it's going to be like what? A thief in the night. Here it is. An aide places headphones on Viola Ford Fletcher, 107 years old, before a House Judiciary Subcommittee in Washington on May 19th. All right. One of 3 known survivors of the 1921 race massacre in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She testified that justice was far overdue, and they're not going to do it. They're just going to wait till these people die. But as I read to you, these damn Ammonites, these fucking Japanese, what? Reagan and them hooked them up. But they gave us welfare. Put drugs in our community. Lock us up for little of nothing. And you don't realize that you're the enemy. You were never meant to prosper in this motherfucker. So that's why I pray that the missiles launch so they can blow this motherfucker to smithereens. Our people are just through. All they want to do is get high, and a lot of them will argue against us, and they want to stay here just to exist. That's that slave mentality. That's that colonial mindset. Jake Neese, that's that 2/3 that got to go. Those are nutsack Israelites. They're going to come back in the kingdom, and they will be righteous. But on this side, they got to go. So let's see. Let's get some more scriptures here. I hated to ramble on, but these are some of these things that identify us and speak against those pretending to be us. This is Daniel chapter 9, verse 12. And it says, and he hath confirmed his words which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil, for under the whole heaven hath not been done as hath been done upon Jerusalem. All right? And you got to ask yourself, why Daniel 12 says what it says. Because it says it's going to be a time. Let me get it real quick. Like no other, that includes what we went through in slavery. This is Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. The time of the end. It says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. And that's the book of life. And when we go to 2nd Ezra chapter 16, see, they want to get this shot. All this is connected. They wanted you to take this damn vaccine. There's shit in there that should not be in your body. But they lied and talked about a magic virus, and they're trying to scare you into taking, they wanted you to beg for a vaccine. But what's in it has nothing to do with this magic virus. All right, that 5G, this all has to go with that New World Order. You tell people this and they look at you like you got 3 heads, but it's oh so simple. All right, the guy, there was a guy that posted a video, and he was a hacker, and he pulled up all this information on his friends, and And these things with the magnets, where people are putting magnets on the place where they got the shot, and it's sticking to them, and it's pulling shit out of them, and it's starting to bleed. It's called nanotechnology. And once these smart cities, well, first they got to institute and implement this 5G, but they're trying to be the Most High. When you go to 2 Thessalonians 2nd chapter, that's what it's talking about. These people are the wicked. They're trying to sit in the seat of the Most High. All right? And these people are falling for it, hook, line, and sinker. It's common sense. No one died, or I should say very little people died of the flu. What do you think they're doing with these numbers? They're telling you it's coronavirus, but people are dying of all other conditions, and they're just being labeled as coronavirus. You had a guy that fell off a building. They labeled it, I shit you not, they labeled it as coronavirus because there is an agenda, people. All these doctors that spoke up, that said this is bullshit, why do you think you never heard about this on your media outlets? These people were threatened with their medical licenses being revoked when they spoke up. See, you're not getting the real news if you're listening to ABC 7 and WSA 9 or whatever your local news affiliates are. Because you fail to realize the history. In the 1920s, these elites bought up all the news outlets. You get and you hear what they want you to hear. That's why here in the district, several years ago, RT was in these people's ass. So what did they do? They made them register as foreign agents. This is all bullshit, people. And for a lot of people, it's just too late. They're going to believe Massa and whatever he says. And, you just have to be on your guard and be careful because a lot of our people are just gone. There's no coming back. They trust in oppression, as Isaiah 30th chapter says, 30 and 12. They don't want to know anything about what the scriptures actually say in that. It identifies them as Israelites. Not those piece of shit Edomites over there saying that they're Israelites. That's why you're being kept in the ghettos and everything like this. It's prophecy. But they don't teach you about prophecy in churches. I wonder why. All right, so that's going to be enough on my rant. I'll post. Oddly enough, this is another piece. I'll just post a link to it. And it goes and shows you pictures. Here we go. You'll see, street level view and all that. The Tulsa Massacre 1921 killed hundreds of residents, burned more than 1,250 homes, and erased years of black success. People, Akim, and a few Akwath, there were people recorded ran out of the houses butt-ass naked. They didn't even have the clothes on their back. All right? But no one wants to talk about that. You'll address everybody else. All right? These people didn't need welfare, any other of the bullshit. But as was talked about, even out of the former Vice President Mike Pence's mouth, he said this was all about envy and jealousy. That's why this was done. And they used that age-old excuse. Well, they raped a white woman. You had this nigger try to rape this white woman. You can read this on your own for time's sake. I'm not going to take too much. I'm just showing you what's in it. I'll post this in a link. Look at that. Nitroglycerin bombs. Talking about some war on terror. dentist. Look at that. Confectionery. Yeah, this is like interactive. So you can go through here. Look at this. All Jake. All Jake. 4 hotels, 2 newspapers, 8 doctors, 7 barbers, 9 restaurants, and a half dozen professional offices of real estate, dentists, and lawyers. A cabaret and a cigar shop were on the block too. Look at this. You could shop for groceries, play pool, take in a theater show, eat dinner, or get your hairstyle without ever leaving the block. You were never meant. This was not meant to be our rest, people. It never was. They're going to do everything and anything they can to make sure that we are dependent on them. That's another reason this money system has to be changed. Because when it goes digital, and it will, you're not going to be able to work for anything on the side. You're not going to have anything to do as these stupid ass jakes do, going in these go-go clubs or strip clubs and making it rain and all that shit, because there's not going to be any paper currency. There's not going to be any coin. Everything's going to be digital. You can't work any side gigs. Any and everywhere you spend is going to be recorded. If I get my rod blown, they're going to know money went somewhere. They might not know that, but I can't hide what I spend and what I take in anymore. And that's happening very shortly. This magic virus was used as a distraction. What's the saying? Always follow the money. And our people got caught up in this bullshit. Look at this. Oh, Waffle House, way back there. Ferguson's drugstore. Look at this, people. This is something to be proud of. Of course, the main thing is knowing who you are and knowing who your power, your God is. Right? But, see, there's mind games being played here too, because if you knew this, things of this nature, again, who you are, that you were not always just a slave, there's great power in that. Look at this. This is the ones that own the confectionery. This building right here, whoops. This thing is kind of sensitive, so be careful when you see it. 102 Greenwood Avenue. Right, I'm trying to get it to, they own this right here. Come on now. Yeah, right, hang it. Right there, that's what they own. All right. Oh, boy. So for time's sake, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down. Like I say, this thing is very sensitive, but it's nice. Again, here she is. Miss Viola Ford Fletcher, 107, testified on the 19th of May here, just a few days ago. Actually, last, what was it, Wednesday before last? So, yeah, there you have it. All right, so what America owes the survivors and descendants of the Tulsa Massacre. All right, but to them, they don't owe us nothing. So, hey, I take the same attitude with them. Fuck you, you know. So with that, I hope whoever views this is edified. That's what we try to do here, Great Millstone. All right. So hopefully those viewing this are among the hopeful elect we're trying to wake up. All right. So with that, call the Lord Yahweh, Shimmy, Rashad, Shimmy, Dash. And once again, double honors go out to the apostles and elders, Great Millstone. Shalom.